Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Innovation Podcast, your source for all things innovation. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a very special Union 2020 episode. What is that? That's when I had a guest on in the past, and I liked them so much I had to bring them right on back. So today's return guest is Dave Robertson, and he is the Managing Director over at Deluxe Corporation, leading the Payment Advisory Solutions. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. Glad to be back.
Oh, man, so excited to get into today's show topic. So thinking about data mining and also creating value through advice. So we'll get right into that. But before we do, let's get into a little bit more. I don't want to assume that all of our new listeners caught the first episode. So let's get into what you're doing over at Deluxe Corporation just to kick us off.
Yeah, absolutely. So Deluxe is a $2 billion Fortune 500 company, and we have many lines of business, including cloud, promotional products, and checks. But the unit I work with is the payment area. So a lot of receivables as a service, digital payments, really helping companies, businesses, and people move money and enable commerce. So I joined Deluxe about 2 years ago, and it was a pretty good investment the company made in that our primary channel for our solutions is banks. So while we do some business directly with corporations, mainly our services are sold by banks. And our banks were coming to us and saying, hey, these products are complicated. Our client environment is complicated. Help us sell. And so Deluxe made an investment, brought me in, gave me budget for a team and technology to really build out a set of capabilities to help banks be more effective in selling payment and treasury management solutions. And so my team, primarily what we do is we do data mining and we do sales enablement for banks. But really, without getting too technical about it, what we're really doing is making their salespeople and their product people more effective, understanding what customers need, and getting those solutions to the customer.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a common problem. So the more data we collect, the more it has to be made use of. So when you think about banks, they have these vast amount of data, and it just becomes it's like it's overload without these advanced solutions to mine the data to figure out who should the banker call. I mean, at the lowest level of denomination, at what point should we be contacting XYZ client? Like there's just so much they have. So I love it, and I love having you on the line to get that vantage point. So let's change it up a bit. I want to talk about creating value through advice. So where do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, that's a great topic because if you talk to any bank, especially, you'll find it in the wealth and the retail market, but certainly in the commercial market, they're all saying the same thing. They want to be a trusted advisor. They want to be a strategic advisor. And that sounds great, right? Because when it comes to your financial activities, you really have a lot of value in them if you can come up with new ways of doing things and smarter ways of doing things. So that's all well and good. But the question is, how do you deliver that advice? And I think it's interesting because, 20, 30 years ago, there were salespeople certainly who created advice, but there are also salespeople that, you kind of have the reputation of the salesperson, takes the client to dinner, tells them about the product, what the product can do. And that's sort of an outdated view of selling. Some people think selling is kind of a bad word, but it really is about understanding somebody's needs and really figuring out how the solution can meet the needs. And that's not always a straight line. Right? The products are so configurable, so flexible now that you really have to figure out how can the customer use the solution have an impact. So really, turning these salespeople loose and saying, hey, go out and be advisors, that requires a couple things. The skill set has to be there, right, to be a problem solver. But they really need to know more about the customer environment. It's very interesting. A lot of banks will say as well that they want to sell on value. And to sell on value, you really need to know the customer's economics before and after the solution. So, bank salespeople are really doing a lot more discovery. They're looking at their customers' processes, how they're making decisions, and they're trying to uncover ways that they can add value, either through efficiency or maybe even, giving them better data for accounting, helping them grow their revenues. But that does take a lot more knowledge about the customer's environment It takes an ability to really think through the process. And then obviously you got to be able to create a business case. So those are the kind of opportunities we're trying to tackle with our bank clients.
So I know this is going to vary from bank to bank, obviously, and from institution to institution, and a lot of other factors there. But I do know that certain themes arise over time, and I know that you must have discovered some of these themes before you created the product. So that being said, what are some of the, before a bank comes online or a new client comes online with you, what are some of those common, like, low-hanging fruit items that you're just like, oh, we can help them there?
Yeah, there's a couple things. One is just getting the right information to the salespeople. And it's funny because, banks are still washing data, but they don't always pull it together on behalf of the salespeople. So really making the data meaningful, saying, hey, look, this client is doing X, Y, and Z. That probably means they're struggling with a lot of paper in their environment and they need to clean it up, or they're not taking advantage of the data to automate their accounts receivable functions. So really taking those insights and pushing them out to the salespeople. We've often found that within 6 weeks, we can start getting those insights out to a set of salespeople. And another really low-hanging fruit is just really immersing the salespeople in the customer's environment and getting them to understand this is the day in the life of what your customer is doing. These are the decisions they're trying to make, and these are the activities they're trying to get done, and these are the pain points they have. These are the things they struggle with. Once you orient a salesperson to that, not only are they going to have a lot more rapport with the customer, but they're going to be in a much better position to look for opportunities to help them. And I think I'd just add one other sort of low-hanging fruit, which is that, a lot of times banks will organize, let's say, their salespeople geographically. And so even a big bank, they might have 1,000 customers in an industry, but no one's really leading that industry. And so being able to create a focus where expertise around a particular industry or segment can be collected and deepened over time, that's proving to be a huge win for banks.
What do you see as kind of next on the horizon for this? As you have, because every year, as time goes on, you kind of figure out the low-hanging fruit, you scale, you bring on more and more clients, and then you have those dream projects or that thing that you're like, oh, this is next on the horizon, or this is that thing. Is there a thing out there that's just kind of out there that you're just like, oh, I can't wait till this happens?
Yeah, and it's starting to happen, but I think what we're going to see, 5 years from now, we're going to look back and say, wow, I'm glad I helped enable that, or, wow, I missed out on that one. But it's really customers helping customers. So if you think about a middle market company, the treasurer, the VP of finance, or the person running payables or receivables, they're sitting somewhere. They don't have a lot of access to expertise. And there's probably, hundreds of thousands of people just like them. And obviously there's associations and they're doing work for them and all kinds of things. But, take a large bank like a Bank of America or a Chase or a Wells Fargo. They're sitting on just a huge community. And if there was a way to really unlock the potential, help them benchmark their practices against one another, help them learn from one another. So, hey, we learned that if we do X, Y, and Z, we can speed up our accounting close, or, we can avoid errors in this area. Getting that information shared in a way that's contextual, relevant, easy and fun, I think could be a huge win, because really, you start to think about the communities that these banks are connecting. Even a company like Deluxe, we have almost 5 million small businesses. Sharing that expertise across that community is just so valuable.
Wow, I love it. So it's like the ways of business, right?
Exactly.
There's an accident. Exactly. There's an accident coming up real time. Wait, what's that? We better make a right. We got to make a left. We don't die because I'm driving in LA. It's the ways of business. I love it, man. Customers helping customers, Dave. That's a great insight. So that being said, if somebody is listening to this and they want more information on your area in Deluxe, what's the best way for them to get that info?
Well, we obviously have a huge presence on the web, and there's many of us on LinkedIn in particular. You can track me down, but you could also just, pick up the phone and really contact anybody at Deluxe. The one thing that we've done with our new CEO, he's really impressed upon us that we are one Deluxe, so we're not a bunch of siloed companies. if it's not my area, but somebody wants to know something, I'll find the right person for them and make sure that they're taken care of. So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on, and we love to hear from customers and prospects.
Awesome. Well, hey, Dave, really appreciate you coming back on the show. As always, great times catching up with you and also getting more into your thought process and the projects you're working on. Awesome stuff there. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you had fun listening. If you did, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, by the way, Mission Matters Innovation, then definitely give us a subscribe there, and let's not let the conversation die here. Let's take it to YouTube community. Leave us some comments, and we'll be happy to respond back. And Dave, thanks again for coming on the show.